Welcome to the 2012 Community Solutions Program Host Orientation. IREX is glad to see so many new and returning hosts alike. During this orientation, you will gain a better understanding of the Community Solutions Program, understand the roles and expectations of the host organization, become familiar with the hosting portal, and meet the Community Solutions team at IREX and understand their role and expectations. You'll also learn next steps in the hosting process. The Community Solutions Program is a program of the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs at the U.S. Department of State. The program is implemented by IREX. Should you be contacted about the program or submit a press release to local news, please be sure to note that the program is funded by the U.S. Department of State and implemented by IREX. On the online host portal, you'll find a draft press release that you can download that has important program information. The overarching program goal is that at the end of the Community Solutions Program, 65 motivated community leaders will positively impact current economic, environmental, political, and social challenges in their communities and become ambassadors for mutual understanding. The program will achieve its goal by helping leaders achieve 3 specific objectives. First, the Community Solutions Program helps leaders build and strengthen sustainable professional networks with international colleagues and institutions. Second, the program allows leaders to increase their understanding and use of best practices, models, and strategies to address challenges in their communities. Lastly, the program helps leaders strengthen their management, leadership, and problem-solving skills. The Community Solutions Program will help leaders and their communities achieve better programming and project management, will strengthen civil society organizations within leaders' home communities, will enable communities and community organizations to achieve development objectives, and will develop the capacity of local community leaders and build the capacity of their peers. Leaders achieve these objectives in a number of ways. First, leaders work with American community leaders at nonprofit organizations or government offices across the U.S. on initiatives of mutual concern related to one of the program's 4 thematic areas of transparency and accountability, tolerance and conflict resolution, environmental issues, and women's issues. For example, in 2011, Nazgul Sharshanova, pictured here, worked with the Kansas Water Office on issues of irrigation and water resource management and their effects on farmers within the state. This is an issue she works with closely in her native Kyrgyzstan at the Department of Water Resources. Second, leaders participate in in-person and online leadership and organizational management training courses that complement their community placements through IREX's Online Community Leadership Institute, or CLI. This includes their virtual pre-departure orientation, the program orientation in Washington, D.C., the virtual mid-program conference, and their end-of-program conference. Third, leaders participate in online CLI discussions, live panel discussions, and guest speaker discussions related to each of the program's 4 thematic areas. This creates networks within each of the 4 thematic areas and allows leaders to enhance their understanding of each of the themes. In 2011, we had 10 guest speakers from various organizations, including our host organizations. Some of last year's presentations included HIV and Women in the U.S., presented by Lisa Frederick at the AIDS Community Research Initiative of America, Transparency in the Natural Resource Extraction Industry, presented by John Hatter at the Great Basin Resource Watch in Reno, Nevada, Conflict Prevention, presented by Dr. Matthew Levenger from the U.S. Institute of Peace, and Adaptations to Climate Change, presented by Dr. Virginia Burkett, Chief Scientist of Climate and Land Use Change of the U.S. Geological Survey. Fourth, leaders plan 6-month follow-on community development projects with their U.S. hosts, which they implement upon their return to their home countries. An example from 2011 is the Liberia Bus Project, a project designed by Eddie Jarwolo, who's pictured here, and inspired by his host organization called the Bus Project in Portland, Oregon. Eddie took what he learned in the U.S. back home to engage Liberian youth in the political process. Another example from 2011 is Patrick Tamara, who created a gender mainstreaming framework for the Uganda Ministry of Defense. which was the first gender mainstreaming framework in any government ministry in Uganda. Now that you know the program a little better, we want to introduce you to the Community Solutions leaders. They are 65 mid to senior level professionals between the ages of 25 to 38. These young professionals are motivated and ready to dedicate many more years to their communities. CSP leaders are required to have a minimum of 2 years of experience, but most have quite a bit more. On average, leaders have 7 years of experience in community development. They're a very diverse group. Leaders in the 2012 cohort come from 31 different countries across the globe. They have demonstrated professional excellence in their past and current work. The 3-step selection process, which will be explained later in the presentation, enables IREX to find leaders who excel in their work within their thematic area of expertise. Leaders are proficient in English and able to work in a professional English-speaking environment. All leaders are required to take the test of English as a foreign language to ensure that they have the capacity to work in a professional English-speaking environment. Community leaders are ready to actively contribute to their host organizations and communities. In the past, leaders have joined clubs and churches outside of work and volunteered within their host communities. Community leaders are committed to returning to their home countries with new knowledge and skills learned through their experience in the U.S. to work as agents of change. Leaders are lifelong professionals who can serve as partners to host organizations in new international projects and collaborations. Hana Hamadeh, featured here in this photo, has over 2 years of experience in the field of local economic development, community development, and business support services with a focus on women's empowerment in the form of capacity building and technical assistance. As a business development specialist on the Art Gold project at the United Nations Development Program, Hamadeh works in the suburbs of the Lebanese capital Beirut on the local economic development and primary healthcare component of this community development program. As part of her continuous collaboration with local municipalities, Hamadeh links available capital expertise with the demand of local and nearby businesses. Hana will be working with the Women's Business Center in Mobile, Alabama on women's entrepreneurial trainings and access to credit this year. After completing the Community Solutions program, Hamadeh plans to focus on the development of alternative means of support services for women that allow for the improvement of their economic status without neglecting their psychological and social needs. You can review all 2012 leader profiles through the online Community Leadership Institute. Now that you know more about who the Community Solutions leaders are, you may ask how they're chosen. The Community Solutions program is an open, merit-based competition. It enables applicants from 50 countries to apply via IREX's online application system. It's a very rigorous and thorough selection process. Every application is read by an outside panel of at least 3 judges, and select candidates move on to the semi-finalist stage. Each semi-finalist is interviewed by an outside pair of interviewers who are development professionals, regional experts, and/or thematic area experts. Candidates are then sent on for TOEFL testing. The candidates receiving top marks from the panel become program finalists and/or alternates, providing they attain a minimum score of 500 on their TOEFL exam. Once the finalists and alternates are selected, the Community Solutions team checks all professional references provided by the Community Solutions finalists and alternates. For this year's program, over 700 leaders applied from 45 countries. The majority of applicants came from Africa, and 40% applied in the area of women's issues. Of the original applicants, over 200 were interviewed and narrowed down to the 65 leaders participating today. Now that we've told you about how we choose the Community Solutions leaders, you may ask how are leaders matched with their host organizations. This is actually a very meticulous process. When leaders apply to the Community Solutions program, they outline their past professional experiences in community development, as well as their goals for the program and their ideas for their follow-on project. All 3 components are taken into consideration when looking for an ideal host match. During the search for host organizations, IREX also starts a dialogue with each potential host organization about their areas of expertise, their human capacity needs, as well as their goals for future development and growth. We try our best to ensure that the leader's experience and expertise will benefit the host organization, as well as enabling the leader to reach his or her own goals for the program and professional growth goals. We truly try to make the matches that turn out to be mutually beneficial partnerships. In 2011, Tibor Rahman, pictured here, worked with Tracy Sempier at the Mississippi-Alabama Sea Grant Consortium. The Coastal Community Resilience Index, which was designed to assess various coastal communities' ability to adapt to climate change and rebound from disaster, was a key tool for Rahman to take back with him to Bangladesh. His extensive work on coastal resilience in Bangladesh gave him a new perspective and helped inform some of the work and grant-making efforts that the consortium implements. Tibor and Tracy are still in contact, and Tracy helps Rahman in designing and implementing his Coastal Resilience Index pilot, which will be adopted by the government in assessing other communities in Bangladesh. Leaders may be carefully selected to match with individual host organizations while in the U.S., but what do they do while they're here? What does a typical day look like in the life of the leader? First and foremost, leaders work for 35 hours per week at their host organizations, where they can learn new skills and provide meaningful contributions. The remaining 5 hours in the typical 40-hour work week is reserved for online institute courses. Next, leaders participate in weekly online courses to gain organizational management and leadership skills, as well as participating in thematic area discussions with area experts and other leaders. These courses and discussions take place on the Online Community Leadership Institute. Live course discussions take place every Thursday from 4:30 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the leaders are expected to participate unless the sessions directly conflict with an important scheduled work event or meeting. Leaders network with professionals in their host cities and other U.S. and international professionals working in their area of interest. They also use the Online Institute platform to create a network with each other. Leaders design follow-on projects in collaboration with their host organization. Some leaders will come with concrete ideas, others will come with more fluid ones, and some will decide to restructure their plans for a new model learned at their host organization. Next, leaders explore their communities and the surrounding areas, learning more about the local and regional American culture of their host communities. Leaders are encouraged to give country presentations and give their host organization and host community insight into their home culture. This can include a presentation on their home organization at a Rotary Club, sharing their culture at a church or school, or inviting their colleagues to eat their national dish. Lastly, leaders attend all in-person sessions in Washington, D.C., including an orientation and end-of-program workshop, as well as attending the virtual mid-program workshop. Now that you know what the leader does with their time, you may wonder, how do I fit in? The role of the host organization is very important to the success of this program. First, host organizations provide experiential learning to leaders, which is the core of the Community Solutions program. By actively working on campaigns and projects, or contributing to organizational planning and meetings, leaders will get the on-the-job training in key management and leadership areas that courses alone cannot provide. The 4 months working with the host organizations will also expose leaders to new approaches to programming and organizational management, and will allow leaders to face new challenges and meet new goals. The host organization provides important cross-cultural learning to the leaders, many of whom have never left their country or region, let alone been to the U.S. Hosts will also connect leaders with important professional networks and contacts in their field of expertise. Hosts will supplement leaders' learning on the Online Institute. IREX has developed a host framework that provides information about the Online Institute courses that leaders will participate in, and how the skills taught in those courses can be supplemented at the host organization. The host framework will be available on the online portal. Host organizations serve as important collaborators in the follow-on project design, helping guide leaders to feasible and realistic projects for the on-the-ground reality and given time frame. Lastly, host organizations will be contacted by IREX on a monthly basis to check in. IREX staff is here to support leaders and hosts. Hosts should alert staff to any emergency or problematic situations with leaders and any significant challenges faced in the partnership. We always want to hear about positive developments and achievements in the leaders' work with your organization, so please keep in touch. How do hosts perform these different functions? For the most part, the responsibilities are divided between the host supervisor and host mentor. First, we'll review the role of the host supervisor. The host supervisor is the leader's contact at the organization and is responsible for overseeing the leader's work at the organization during the 4-month fellowship. This is done through several steps. First, the host supervisor will provide the leader and IREX with an initial 1-month work plan. This plan should take into consideration the leader's interest and experience, and host supervisors should communicate with the leaders via email and/or Skype to inform the plan. Within the first 3 weeks at the host organization, host supervisors will work closely with leaders to make a work plan for the remaining 3 months of the fellowship, providing clear deliverables and job expectations that meet the leader's areas of expertise and expressed areas of growth. Please note that the work plan should be considered a living document that can be changed over time. Work plans should include all important activities and deadlines for a leader's work at the host organization, as well as an explanation of how these activities contribute to the leader's learning and/or express goals. They should also include weekly meetings with the host supervisor and times for joint follow-on project planning check-ins. A sample work plan is posted on the host portal for your reference. Along with work planning, host supervisors are encouraged to provide opportunities for supplementary hands-on learning experiences for leaders in areas covered in the online institute. Host supervisors will be supplied with the hosting framework on the host portal of the online institute. This will let you know the objectives of the leader's coursework and give examples of how you may supplement it in the leader's day-to-day work. This may mean providing examples, having the leader work with other departments or personnel, or setting up meetings with partner organizations. Host supervisors are also encouraged to mentor leaders and provide regular feedback on their work. As mentioned, host supervisors should check in with leaders weekly, ensuring that they are on track with their work plan. This doesn't have to be a long meeting, just enough to ensure that the leader's activities and learning are on track. Host supervisors are asked to sign into the CSP host portal regularly, preferably weekly, to get important updates regarding the program. Another benefit to regularly signing in is the ability to post to the host forums and connect with other hosts across the country. Host supervisors are invited and encouraged to lead online course discussions and/or training in their areas of expertise. This adds thematic area-specific learning to the online institute, which helps leaders expand their knowledge within their thematic area of expertise. Host supervisors are also asked to provide leaders with professional networking opportunities, including informing them of meetings and networking opportunities, connecting them to partner organizations, and connecting them with other professionals in their area of expertise within the host community, the region, and the broader U.S. Host supervisors are also encouraged to work closely with the leaders to design their 6-month follow-on project. This should be included in the work plan and will be an increasing area of focus toward the end of the 4-month fellowship. Host supervisors are encouraged to continue to collaborate with leaders from January to June 2013, giving leaders extra support as they implement their follow-on projects. Host supervisors should communicate with IREX any issues that arise and complete pre- and post-program surveys, evaluating their leaders and providing program-related feedback to IREX. Now that we've reviewed the responsibilities of the host supervisor, we'll move on to those of the host mentor. A host mentor can be within the host organization or a partner outside the organization that may be well suited to the role of a mentor. The mentor's main responsibilities are to help the leader acclimate to life in their host community and serve as a cross-cultural liaison. The host mentors will need to spend a significant amount of time with the leader during their first week, helping the leader set up a bank account if she or he has not already done so, find housing, acquiring a cell phone, learning and navigating the public transportation system, help leaders identify nearby grocery stores and other important landmarks in the community, such as libraries, internet cafes, laundromats, pharmacies, etc. Should also show leaders where to access emergency services, such as doctors' offices and hospitals. Mentors can also help leaders with budgeting if requested, by providing the normal costs for items that they might need, such as food, clothing, medication. The host mentor also assists leaders to learn the local and U.S. cultural norms and behaviors, as well as demystifying stereotypes of the U.S. Mentors assist leaders in their learning about local and regional U.S. culture, including informing leaders about activities, museums, exhibits, and libraries in the area, offering and informing leaders about volunteer opportunities in the community, and answering any questions leaders may have about local culture or other areas of interest. Provide opportunities for leaders to share their culture or work from home. Host mentors can assist with this by setting up meetings with local community centers, schools, or other groups interested in learning more about their leaders' home culture. Lastly, host mentors help leaders build their professional and personal networks, providing opportunities for them to meet with other people with similar interests within the community. Now that you know your individual responsibilities as host supervisors and mentors, you may be wondering how you can stay connected to IREX and other hosts across the nation. IREX has designed a host portal for you to stay connected. You're actually using the host portal right now to participate in this orientation. The portal includes news and updates on program activities and deadlines, the hosting framework, a discussion board where hosts can connect with each other on areas of mutual interest, an up-to-date calendar of activities and due dates, and other important resources. Now that you know what's expected, we're going to review some important dates to remember and the schedule for hosting a leader. By July 23rd, host supervisors should send key organizational and program documents to leaders to help adequately prepare them for their time at their host organization. Throughout the month of July, host supervisors should work with leaders to develop the first month work plan. All work plans should be sent to IREX and the leaders prior to their arrival in the U.S. on July 30th. From July 30th to August 3rd, all leaders will attend the Welcome Orientation in Washington, D.C. On August 3rd, leaders arrive at their host communities. The first week should be left open for leaders to acclimate, and this will be an intense period for the leaders and host mentors who will be working together to settle the leader into their new community. Leaders can begin doing work with their host organization once they are settled, but hosts shouldn't plan for the first week to be a full week of work. On August 13th, leaders will begin their first full week of work. They will also begin their first week of online institute courses. Over the next 2 weeks, leaders and their host supervisors are asked to discuss their work plan for the remaining 3 months and submit it to IREX by August 24th. From August to December, leaders work at their host organizations with weekly check-ins with their host supervisor and active learning throughout the hosting framework. The week of October 1st is a virtual mid-program conference. During this week, leaders will need at least 2 days to dedicate to this intensive workshop. Leaders ramp up their work at their host community on December 3rd and depart for their end-of-program workshop in Washington, D.C. on December 4th. That workshop runs from December 4th through the 6th, and leaders depart for their home countries on December 7th. Leaders have a lead period of about a month before they need to start reporting to IREX on their follow-on projects. While the project dates are officially January to June of 2013, we encourage leaders to get started as soon as possible, especially when additional funding needs to be secured. During this period, we'll also announce the Partnering for Stronger Communities Grants Program, an open competition for all host organizations to make a field visit to their community leaders' home community to help with a specific aspect of their follow-on project. More details about the Partnering for Stronger Communities Grants Program will be provided in early 2013. Now that you know what is expected of the leader and you as hosts, you may wonder, how does IREX fit into this picture? What is IREX's role in the program? Well, IREX is here to support both host organizations and leaders. We support host mentors and supervisors with sensitive issues, as well as clarify areas of uncertainty. we're also available to help with family or medical emergencies and other issues that may arise. IREX supports leaders through coaching, providing financial and logistical support, including flights to and from the U.S. and host communities. We support leaders through initial cross-cultural training, with their transition into the U.S. workplace, and with the design of their follow-on projects. We're also here to assist leaders with any emergencies and can be contacted day or night through our emergency hotline. IREX also provides leaders with on-site training at the beginning and end of the Community Solutions program, as well as online training throughout the course of their stay in the U.S. This includes weekly online Community Leadership Institute courses, the virtual mid-program workshop, and through facilitating virtual discussions around thematic area issues. IREX will also foster a community among leaders and facilitate inter-leader networking. Lastly, IREX will check in with leaders and host institutions monthly to ensure that the experience is positive, as well as to monitor the effectiveness of the program and its impacts. Now that you know what your leader will do, your role in the process, and how IREX supports both hosts and leaders, you might be wondering what comes next. Well, we strongly encourage all host supervisors and mentors to attend the online cross-cultural training that's offered through the host portal. We have hosts from across the country with varying experience with international staff, so we want to be sure that everyone is on the same page about what to expect with an international colleague. This training will also provide you an opportunity to network with other host organization representatives to discuss their experiences with hosting international colleagues. We also encourage you to start communicating with your leader if you haven't done so yet. This can be via email or Skype, or even phone if necessary. But during this time, you should be focused on finalizing the first month's work plan, supplying the leader with important information about your organization, such as employee policies like dress code and work hours, and communicating basic information about what they should bring and what your community is like. You can also download the work plan template and host framework from the host portal. Lastly, we encourage you to get to know the IREX team through the host portal and via email. We want to get to know you better so we can continue to develop a strong working relationship. Thank you for participating in the online host orientation. If you have any remaining questions, please feel free to post them in the host orientation forum, and our staff will respond. We look forward to working with you for the 2012-2013 Community Solutions program.